What are financing or lending companies? These are public or private organizations that grants funds to borrowers with the intention of being repaid at an arranged interval. The transaction is known as a loan, and many companies work in specialized industries such as automobile or mortgage lending. When we think of borrowing money today, not many people take time to appreciate how easy it is for us to get cash these days. We all just assume that we go online, apply for a loan, or on the day or soon the funds will be sent on our account. What did our ancestors do? Around 14,000 BCE, early stages of civilization, some sources, human beings were swapping goods and values in exchange for gifts or tools. This makes borrowing a system older than borrowing itself. Around 9000 BCE, there are some societies that had coinage in their place. During ancient times, the societies started a system lending to people who would borrow and eventually pay back their loans with other forms of payment such as livestock or grain. Now, what are the rules and laws in ancient times? Around 2000 BCE, the Code of Hammurabi was known for eye for an eye, set up laws regarding interest payment and debt. What about the source of interest? As civilization moved beyond ancient Babylon and in morals of ancient loans, the source of interest was highly debatable around this time. Christians and Muslims were gaining each other from borrowing of interest, and Jews for they borrow it with interest to one another but not to other religions. Other religions did try their best to control lending in interest and in most fellows. It was the ancient Romans who established the modern lending system that eventually spread across the world. Note technology. Ancient Greece and ancient Rome. Pawnbrokers is one of the oldest money lending practices and a form of secured lending with items held as collateral, keeping risk down for the lender. Middle Ages. The Merchant of Venice. Christians were forbidden from lending money with interest, while Jews could lend with interest to non-Jews. Traders in Venice at this time had access to money lending services from Jewish lenders. Early 1800s, a new era in lending. The Philadelphia Savings Fund Society was started so that average Americans could get access to loans and a means of saving. Sophisticated technology. Around 1950s, credit cards and computerization are created. 1959, data and credit decisions. Lenders first start using FICO scores to make informed credit decisions. 1980s and 1990s, internet and e-commerce are created. Opportunities grow for online lending specialists. 1990s, cloud, analytics, decisioning, business process management, behavioral analytics. Companies start focusing more on processes, compared to functions and procedures to maximize productivity, looking at change of events and modeling cross-functional activities. Nowadays, money lending is already fast as like a bullet train. Lending Company in the Philippines. Under Republic Act No. 9474, or also known as Lending Company Regulation Act of 2007. It is synonymous to lending inventors and referred to a corporation engaged in granting loans from its own capital or from funds sourced from not more than 19 persons. To form a legal entity, under the new law, the Republic Act No. 9474, a lending company must be a stock corporation. sole proprietorship, and partners engaged in lending business are now illegal. After being given 1 year grace period to incorporate with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Corporate name. To distinguish a lending company from other businesses extending loans, the words lending company or lending investor or any other word descriptive of its primary activity of granting loans to the public. However, use of words commonly used to identify financing companies shall not be allowed. Capitalization. The minimum paid-up capitalization of a lending company in the Philippines is 1 million pesos. Branches of lending companies shall have the minimum capitalization depending on its location. Metro Manila in other first-class cities, 300,000 pesos. Second-class cities, 150,000, or in municipalities, 75,000 pesos. Such capitalization shall be the source of funds for lending to the public, or it could be borrowed from not more than 19%. It shall use at least 51% of its capitalization for direct lending purposes, and the total investment in real estate and in shares of stock in real estate development shall not be more than 25% of its net worth. Majority of the voting stocks of the lending company shall be owned by Filipino citizens, and the rest could be owned by foreign national. No foreign national may be allowed to own stock unless the country of which he is a national accords reciprocal rights to Filipinos. Certificate of Authority. Approval of the Securities Exchange Commission of the application for a lending company registration will not suffice. A lending company, main office, and every branch it shall put up is required to secure a certificate of authority as a secondary license before it could operate. From the issuance of the certificate of authority, the lending company shall operate within a period of 120 days. Otherwise, Securities Exchanges Commission may suspend such certificate of authority. Hereunder are some requirements for securing certificate of authority. Information sheet. NBI clearance of each director or officer. For foreign directors, Bureau of Immigration clearance. Photocopy of passport showing valid visa or stay in the Philippines. ACR I-card and a work permit issued by the Department of Labor and Employment. President's sworn statement and undertaking. Business plan including method of marketing its products, sources of funds, and maturities of credit. And lastly, statement of compliance with Rule 17.1 and the amended implementing rules. Securities Exchange Commission fees of 1/10 of 1% of paid-up capital of head office, or based on a side capital for a branch. The process may take some time depending upon the completeness of above documentation. Charges on loans. Lending company could grant loans in such amounts and interest rates, and charges as may agreed upon with the borrower. Being in the business of providing loans to the public, a lending company shall comply with the Truth in Lending Act, requiring lenders to furnish the borrower's statement with the following contents: principal amount of the loan, rate of interest of the loan, service or processing fee, amortization schedule, any penalty charge for late amortization payment, collection fee if any, notarial fee, all fees in connection with the loan transaction, description of the collection and lien enforcement procedures, and method of calculating the total amount of obligation in case of default. Failure to provide the above may entitle the lending company some risks and penalties. Every lending company shall maintain books of accounts and records as may be required by the Securities and Exchange Commission, as prescribed by the Bureau of Internal Revenue. A manual accounts prescribed by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas for lending investors shall be adopted. In case the lending company engages in other businesses, it shall maintain separate books of accounts for these businesses. In forming a lending company, there are reportorial requirements. Lending companies shall file with the Securities and Exchange Commission the following reports or manuals. General information sheet within 30 days from annual meeting as stated by the bylaws. Audited financial statements within 120 days from end of fiscal year provided in the bylaws. Special form for financial statements in electronic format within 30 days from last day for filing of audited financial statements. Interim semi-annual financial statements every July 15 and January 15. The above reports are to be filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission because it is now the SEC who regulates lending companies, except those lending companies which are subsidiaries or affiliates of banks and quasi-banks, which are subject to the supervision and examination of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. We have interviewed a loan company, which is the Bridge Auxiliary Financing Corporation, to know what type of loans they are offering and to know more about their company. We have interviewed Mr. Denver Tuazon, the officer in charge in Angeles City branch of Bridge Finance Corporation. The head office in Baguio started in February 2005, and right now it has 14 branches, and the branch in Angeles City started in 2008. These are the requirements in order to apply for a loan for borrowers and co-makers. Latest barangay clearance, latest proof of billing, photocopy of 2 valid IDs with 3 signatures, photocopy of 1 valid ID spouse, if any, 2x2 picture, sketch of residence with name and complete address. The starting loan is 20,000 to 200,000. Example of a salary loan: if the applicant is under DepEd, it is up to 200,000 you can collateralize by ATM. To pay their loan, it depends on what kind of contract that is used. Example for DepEd is up to 80% of the times, so it is monthly basis. Difference between loaning and getting a credit card. Credit card is accessible right away. You can get what you want in the mall right away. But in loaning, you must apply first. Those are the difference. However, there's still something that's not clear about credit card. It's how the interest is being established. Now you know what to consider when applying for a loan. But applying for a loan doesn't necessarily mean having an access to money and buy anything we like. Borrow money for the purpose of investing only.